and welcome to another episode of Oily Hour with me, Olivia Tai, and Pamela Tanimura. We've got two special guests today. Our first guest is Dr. Gabby, right here on my cross bottom this way cross bottom corner here,
Yeah.
and then also Alessandra Silveira, and we'll be talking about some really hot topics. I think so I'm really excited about this. Welcome to the show.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
So we have Dr. Gabby was with us last time, and we talked a little bit about her story, and she is going through this very powerful process of healing herself. And she has been diagnosed with cancer back in 2015, and we decided to uh, promote her work and also to give her support through the month of October because it's Pink October, right? That's what we bring awareness to, especially women taking care of themselves. And we are in this fight with Gabby because in the conventional world, she has been told that there's nothing else that she can do, but there is a whole lot more that we can do, as we know, and that's why we're here today. Gabby is a wealth of knowledge. She is also a scientist and also a researcher for the University of Sao Paulo, one of the most prominent universities in Brazil. And she has specialized in immunology. So she's also an immunologist. And it couldn't be more perfect for the times that we are facing, right? So we're facing this time that she is such a bright light that brings so much uh, knowledge and love to our teams. And we wanted to bring this out to everybody for all of you to be able to have a little glimpse of what Gabby can can bring to all of our lives. And we have Alessandra, who's also a friend of hers, and she is an astrologer. She's my astrologer now, and she is also a wealth of knowledge. She speaks various languages, just like Olivia, just like Gabby, and she kindly and lovingly decided to also give support to Gabby's cause, and she's gonna tell you a little bit about how she is going to contribute to what we're doing for this month of October for Gabby. And she's going to talk to us about the phases of the moon and what plants, essential oils you can match for you to best navigate the changes of the moon that absolutely affect us. And Gabby is going to close with pharmaceutical grade lavender that is doTERRA, the only company that has that. So I would like to welcome both of you. I'm so excited and grateful that you're part of our lives in my life. And so I'm going to pass it to Ale for her to wow you with all her knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the invitation. So happy here. I work with astrology since 2009, but full time since 2017. I come from the corporate world, worked more than 20 years in big companies, but I'm in astrology. Always like it, always loved. I've been in contact with astrology for 30 years now, approximately, but this is a story. And when doTERRA came to life, that was in 2018, as everybody starts using, I start using myself, my family, my friends, and then opening to my community. And then I realized that astrology and essential connection, a very strong connection. They are both based in nature. Astrology started thousands of years ago with the observation of the planets, of the movement of the planets, and how it affected nature, the tides, the animals, the harvest, and ourselves. And the sun and the moon, they were the first ones to be observed. And the moon has a very strong role in our life in general, especially for women, and but for humans in general as well as all nature. So I started connecting the oils not only to the signs, but to the four elements. So, you know, we have the fire, the earth, the water, and air. These are the four elements that astrology is based as well. And on our birth chart, we have these four elements. And the lack of one of those elements are the ones that I like to work with the essential oils. The meant where we don't have one or two elements. But today we decided to talk about the moon phases, which are very important for astrology. Okay. So actually we have 8 moon phases, but I'm going to talk about the main four ones. So starting with the new moon is the beginning of the the phase of the moon. We know that the moon is there, but we cannot see it. It's also called the black moon because we don't see in the sky when the moon is in this phase, and is related to beginnings. So it's everything in the new moon is about starting to grow, you're starting to plan, are the dreams, the initiatives, everything that it's connected to this Aries sign because it's a sign that's connecting to initialization. So for this moon, usually I relate to the citrus oils. So we talk about wild orange, lemon, also it could be peppermint, tangerine, all the mandarins as well. And because it's related to the fire element, to beginning things, to have the courage to go, to start process. This is different from what I'm going to talk about. The four phases is for the planet in general. Okay, we are not going to specify in each birth chart what the phase of the moon represents, because in our birth chart we have the moon in a determinate sign and the moon was in a determinate phase, and that means something to that chart, but it's not what we're going to talk today. Or we're going to talk more in general. Okay. Then it comes the first quarter moon, which is when the moon is growing from the new moon phase to the full moon, and it's also called the crescent moon. So things are growing. So everything that you started in a new moon, you have to harvest to grow in the crescent moon. Usually, when you have the crescent moon and has a relationship with the sun in the birth chart, and it can come to a tense relationship between them, and we have to talk about negotiation here. Okay, the signs have to talk. Then, since it's a more concrete part of the month when we start growing things, I related to some oils that I also relate to the earth element. So some of them would be cedarwood, copaíba, the tea tree, vetiver. These are oils, also frankincense. These are oils that come from the hardest part of the plant or roots. So these are related to the earth element and to the crescent phase of the moon. Then we come to the full moon, where everything is so bright and potential. It's when we start wanting to show things, to come to a conclusion, to expose. They say that during the full moon, the animals are more excited and agitated. The full moon, it's very exuberant in the sky. And so on this part of the moon, I related the oils to the oils that bring this happiness, this self-conscious, this sense of value that we have with the full moon. So usually I connect with geranium, with bergamot, with wild orange as well, with other flowers, with patchouli. I don't know if we say that in English, if it's patchouli. So the full moon is all about showing, going to the world. Then after that, we have the third quarter. That's when the moon starts to go to the cycle, when it starts to decrease the brightness. Okay, it's also called the waning moon. I think that's how you pronounce. It's more time for reflection, for introspective. So you already show your plans. You already started to see your value, and now you're going to reflect. You're going to review. You're going to see if there are things that you need to correct, if you're going in the right path, or if you have to make adjustments. Okay, it's a time for more introspective. We don't have so much energy as in the new, the crescent, and the full moon. Okay, so it's a time for retreat as well, to meditate. Okay, so there are some essential oils that I connect with that, which are fennel, wintergreen, eucalyptus, and also frankincense can be used here more in terms of meditation. So this is a very general analysis, very, very general. Of course, the moon represents in our birth chart all our emotional areas, our memories, the contact with the feminine, the contact with our mother, relationship with the women in our family, everything that comes from the past. So that's why the sign and the position of the moon in our birth chart is very important to touch those areas. And the phase of the moon that we were born will also talk a lot about how we deal with these emotions, with those memories, with those roots. So it was just a quick view. And to say that because of the Pink October, and because Gabby is such an amazing person, and to be able to be part of this movement. So we are doing all the interpretations of the birth charts, or people that have already done the birth chart and wants to do their transits or their solar return. All the readings will be passed to the campaign to help Gabby this month. And I'm extending to the next month as well, to the month of November. Okay, so we can have more time to have more readings and more people to join us in this campaign.
I love that. So I'll tell you a little bit of my experience with astrology and how it's been right on point every single time. We have lots of witchy friends, and we call it witchy in a very good way, because they're very intuitive and they're very connected to just feeling and being able to be in the flow of what's going on around us, around you're part of this universe, right? So when I had my astrology chart read to me the first time, Ali knew her. Lucia, she's not on this plane with us anymore, but she was such a gift, and she had told me very specific things at that time that would happen around the beginning and middle of 2021. And granted, exactly to the T what she had told me years ago. I remember because I had the recording and everything, and so it happened. It's really powerful to see how, you know, the moment that you're born, the stars and the planets are aligned a certain way for you to accomplish, I believe, very much that is connected to your purpose. So it's been such an awesome experience to be able to use planets and all of the cosmos, right? Everything that's connected to us, to flow in my life better, to understand the transitions that I go through and why they're going through. And talk about Mercury in retrograde, and we laugh because in fact, every single time when Mercury, when Mercury in retrograde is happening, something funny happens that gets things out of balance. Last oily hour didn't happen because we were all a little confused about the time change in Brazil, in the United States, and so we all got the times wrong, and it didn't happen. And you can blame it. You can blame Mercury in retrograde. I think things go a little bit funny when he is going.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what happened. And I put in the comments here some of the oils that she mentioned. And all of these oils, what's beautiful about the oils too is they don't just work on the energy side, obviously, right? So we talk about the use and the physical for the physical benefits. And that's exactly what Dr. Gabby is going to talk about, because the benefits that you get from the oils are infinite. And the beauty of it is that symbiotic connect that we have, nature and men, that knows exactly what it needs to do in your body. So when you are using the essential oils, I know that there's no, oh, I made the wrong choice. There's no such a thing. I always will advise you and encourage you to trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. Trust that little voice that tells you, "Hey, maybe you should do that." You know, that little voice, you know that that's what you should be doing for yourself. So, and that's what I love about Dr. Gabby, is that that's what she does as a doctor. She tells us all to always trust your instinct, trust what you know, trust your knowing that you're feeling at that moment. Just for sure, it's going to be the right thing to do. So, Dr. Gabby, thank you, Ali. I love, 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 love when you give your classes.
Can I
And
just
I love.
tell one little thing before Gabby begins that I forgot? Sorry, is we always say that the time of our birth, in the time of the conception, in the time that we are going to be born, is chosen by our soul. So we choose the chart that our soul needs to come to be developed. So it's very important that we honor the chart. Every birth chart has its challenges and its good parts, the awards that we receive. For people that do not believe in reincarnation, we can talk about our ancestors, our family system. So it's very important. And also that the oils, it's like Pamela said, it's very intuitive. So when I give some suggestions of some oils, depending on the phase of the moon or depending on the birth chart, if the person is lacking some element or it has a lot of another element and has to balance this, they are suggestions, but it's always very intuitive. So with what works for one person, even if the person has the same sign, maybe it doesn't work for the other. So that's the process. And we also said that astrology is a way back to ourselves. It's a return to our soul. We know everything that is in the chart, but when you talk about it, when you make conscious about it, so it likes a curtain that opens and you can be in touch with this, with which is you exactly. So and live better and have better relationships and develop your soul in this life. So that's just one thing that I wanted to say.
Yes, I love it. And you know how, some people are not keen into the zodiac and all of that. But if you really take a moment to kind of try to understand a little bit where the zodiac signs came from, and uh, we know that we really know who started, right? The idea of looking at nature and their divine influence on humans. But the astronomers, they say that there is indications that shows that the idea that animals and things can be connected with some kind of spirit form, it has an influence on us. So a lot of people started saying, oh, this is that's my spirit animal, right? So even a person like, you are my spirit animal, because you connect to it. And that is the beauty of being able to see the divine in everything. And I think that that's what this study is very connected to, is when they carefully are able to study the nuances of each person, each human, each animal that are born in a certain time when the stars are aligned. That we even say that, right? Well, the stars aligned this time, the stars
Yeah.
didn't align this time. And so there's a reason why we say this stuff. And I always talk about the traditions and the sayings, why we say what we say, because there is an explanation behind it. And in and if you look at the zodiac and just a little bit of the aspects or characteristics of each sign, I've actually talked to people and I told them their sign as we were speaking, and they're like, "Whoa, how do you know?" Because there's
Well,
some
you are Scorpio. You are Scorpio, so you have this scan to read people very well. That's not everybody that has, but it's very important. And also think that we are the whole chart, because sometimes people see in the horoscope and it doesn't relate so well with what is written there because it's very general text, because maybe your sun sign you don't identify so much, but all the other aspects in your birth chart it does. So that's why it's important to see. But I agree with you, it's, and that's why also I think that this synergy with the essential oils with astrology works so well because of this nature-based thing as everything started. The first register that we have is from 6,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, but I'm sure that is way before that it started. But anyway,
yeah, they
that's
talk
my,
about they talk about the Babylonians, right? That
yeah.
that started this whole um, the star catalogs, and I'm so
Yeah,
fascinated
they
by.
started to write down. I think they were the ones that put it more organized way. They started to write down the cycles because the cycles they repeat themselves, and I think that's why the first registers are related to them. But I think that the observation of the sky, imagine the beginning of the human beings here in this planet with those wonderful skies and no cities and no light. So the sun is down, you have to do something, you don't have a TV, you don't have internet, so you look at the sky and you start feeling the connection. And so it's that's why it became so integrated when I start using the oils, and I realized that exactly when what is lacking in the chart I could complement with the oils. The oils were a support to this lack of certain element in the chart. It was like we say, a moment of truth, that when you realize, okay, this is it. That's what I needed, because I was always searching for something to complement that. And so this is it.
Yeah, yeah. So the stars align, right? So here in Hawaii, there is the Hokulea they call, and they do the star compass, and this incredible human that I have met, I had the pleasure of meeting one time, Nainoa Thompson. So they take they navigate just being led by the stars, and it's really incredible, right? To see how we can really be guided by the universe. Because we are. So there is a lot
Absolutely.
to kind of take from this. They are very connected to, and this is an art that is almost lost because not like there's not a lot of
It
navigators that
was,
use.
it was forbidden for many centuries. It was called the bastard science, and it was not so much long ago that was Pope John Paul II that authorized Catholics to um, to have contact with astrology again. But it's like from the 19th century that things start becoming, but it became many centuries, it became like forbidden. So yes, and it's rebirth. And with the pandemic last year, people kind of try to connect, to look for something, to look for answers, to look for some hope. And astrology became very popular again. And that's good because we want to share the information with as much people we want. We just need to be a bit careful because people thinking that they could do a 1 month course, 2 months course, and I am astrologer, and this is a totally deep. It's not a science; it's art. It's a knowledge, but there is a lot to study, and we need to be responsible with that. So, but it's the interest, the increase of the interest. It's very. I think it's very good for everybody.
Yeah, and when some of the people that love the science, right? They say, oh, there's no science that found evidence that talk about astrological traditions, but you know some stuff they don't have scientific explanation, and you can hear it from Dr. Gabby on this very specific subject, is that sometimes our answers won't come from science, and that's the beauty of living in the place of seeing the divinity on everybody. And I say it from my own story because my story is very similar to Gabby's, where I heard I was never going to be able to have children, and here I am, three children, babies later, had them at home. The way that probably if I hadn't listened to science, I probably wouldn't have them. So you have this knowing that we talk about, and it's so cool to hear from a doctor to talk about this stuff, because she's going to talk about pharmaceutical grade lavender today, but she's going to go into the science. But it is beautiful to speak to doctors that also have the side of them that understand that there's a lot more than just what we can see and touch and prove, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly. Yeah, astrology is based in science because it's based in astronomy, in the movement. That's science. That's exact science. But the interpretation, the symbolic, everything, this we cannot call science. Of course, it's an art. It's knowledge. But if we put them together, why not?
of course, and the same thing that they used to say about essential oils, so there is I heard somebody say, oh, there's no science behind it. Is science. Okay, there's tons of scientific studies, and that's exactly what Gabby's going to talk about today. So yes, aromatherapy is a science. So I would like to welcome again our wonderful Dr. Gabriela Bison, to talk about pharmaceutical grade lavender doTERRA.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity again. Thanks so much, Ale. I'm so honored to be here. For me, when I talk about aromatherapy, I always think that there's something that we put together, science, but also it's an art. We always have to remember that we have to follow our intuition too. But science matters. It's so important, and we can completely understand the actions of the essential oils. So undoubtedly, it's really really important. Science matters, but we know that there's something that it's beyond science. But let's talk about doTERRA lavender that is now pharmaceutical grade. It's officially pharmaceutical grade. Uh, Before talking about this, we have to remember why pure, because we are talking about purity and consistency. Why it is so important when we think about essential oils, because when use essential oils, even when we inhale, when we take it internally, or when it use it topically on the skin, the components that form the essential oils, they all come in our organism. they are absorbed in our organisms, and then from the bloodstream they are going to all our cells. So purity is fundamental, is a crucial aspect. And uh, what does it mean when we are saying that there's an essential oil that which is the lavender, doTERRA lavender essential oil? This it is pharmaceutical grade. It is really a game change. What does it mean? It means that it's totally pure and is totally consistent. We have always to remember that when we are talking about essential oils, they are formed by hundreds or thousands of different components. So they have a biochemical profile that when we are talking in general, not specifically doTERRA essential oils, they vary so much. Uh, so what it means really to be pure and consistent. Uh, well, doTERRA has it's a company that has that studies a lot, and the specific work was done in collaboration with the University of Mississippi. What they did, they analyzed many different lots of lavender essential oils, not only doTERRA essential oils, and they analyzed it by different lab techniques, and they created a quality index to analyze these different essential oils. Did they what do they found? They found that uh, almost all essential oils, even those that were labeled for internal use, were not pure. They didn't reach the index quality that they created. Only doTERRA lavender essential oils is really pure and reach this index. So even when we encounter different essential oils that are labeled for internal use, it's not like this. And we have to be sure that we are using a pure essential oil because of that. Because when we use in different forms, the components will be absorbed by our organisms, and they will reach every single cell in our organism. So it's really